Welcome back, everybody. Today we're making this beautiful autumn colored tray that'll make a great centerpiece for your house too. If you want to see how we made these, then stick with us as we resin together. Hey everybody, today we're working on these 3-tiered serving trays that we're going to be making. So we've already placed resin in the bottom of the trays. It's been sitting for about 20 minutes so that it will start to set up. We're going to use a different technique today that we haven't tried on our channel to pour and then pull through the resin as it kind of mixes together. So we've already done that. Our resin has been mixed. Today we're using the Clearcast 7000 resin that we like. So I've mixed up just over 20 ounces of resin for this, and I'll be mixing up the colors. We'll be using some gold opal glitter from Let's Resin, and then we'll also be using the calabaza orange from Pinata color, and then the bright yellow sunlight yellow from Pinata also, and then from Pearl-Ex the antique bronze. And also from Pearl-Ex, we'll be using the pumpkin orange, kind of going with a fall theme as we get closer to that time of year. So I'm going to begin pouring my resin out and mixing it, and then we'll get started. Okay, so into my first container, this is going to be for our different colors. I'll go ahead and portion out my resin. Make sure we get an even amount of each one. Might have to even these back out a little bit. There we go. I'm gonna fill these two up a little too much, so I'm gonna borrow from these for this one. This is for our glitter. Just a little bit there, and a little bit from this one. There we go. So that's our glitter, and then these will be our colors. So I'll start mixing, starting with our pumpkin orange from Pearl-Ex. So just a little bit of that into here. Okay, so we have our orange all mixed up. I think that's going to be a beautiful fall color. And next we'll work. It's a little low. Let me add some more to that one. There we go. Next we're going to mix our antique bronze. Alright, so we're going to put our antique bronze in here, and we'll mix this up. Okay, and we have our antique bronze mixed up. I think that's going to look real pretty, mixing with our fall colors. Next, we're going to move on to our sunshine yellow from Pinata ink. With this one, we're going to start off with 10 drops. Okay, so as I'm mixing up this yellow, I kind of think that it needs to be a stronger yellow to hold up to the orange and the antique bronze that we mixed up. So I'm going to put some yellow mica powder in here and see how that turns out. And here's our mixed yellow mica powder. I think that definitely makes it much stronger and much better to stand up against our other colors. Next, we're going to mix our calabaza orange. And I'll start with 10 drops of that. We can always add more. Alright, and here is our orange. I end up adding 10 more drops just to get it to the color of orange that I was looking for. A nice dark autumny orange. And finally we're going to mix our glitter. Let me change my gloves because I've got them covered in resin and it gets sticky. So again, we're using the gold opal in this, so I'm just going to add some. We want that to be pretty thick, so don't be afraid to add a decent amount in there. And let's mix that up and see how it looks. And that's perfect. I think that's what we want. Good amount of shimmer and coverage. That'll be the center of each of ours. Gonna get that color going. Very nice. All right. So I think we are ready. We're actually going to use piping bags to get our colors onto the molds. So let me go ahead and grab some new gloves that are clean. We'll pour everything into our piping bags. Now I get these piping bags, as everything else that I have today, from Amazon. I'll make sure the links are down in the description. When you're piping things like this, you definitely want to wait until your resin has gotten warm. I usually try to wait until it hits about 90-95 degrees. That way it's starting to gel, because for the technique we're using, we want to make sure that it doesn't spread too much while we're piping it, but we want it to be enough that it will definitely mix the colors, and that'll make more sense once we get into actually creating our trays today. So once we have the resin in here, we'll just gather the sides and pull it up. I'm hoping there's going to be enough slack that I can tie this. Alright, there's our first one ready to go. Next we'll pour up the bronze. And I'm just giving them one final stir before I pour, just to make sure there's not any mica powder that might be clumped up in there that hasn't mixed. And there's our bronze ready. Mixture of the bright yellow and the mica powder. The mica powder we added was from Pearlex as well. It was the bright yellow. And there's our yellow, and last but not least, our orange. Okay, so we have our colors in our piping bags and everything's ready to go. So I'm going to start by placing our gold opal around the center of each one. Now I'm going to kind of keep this matching the square shape. So I'm just going to pour this right around the outside. Again, nature isn't perfect, so don't try to be perfect, just get it close. There we go. Now for this big one, I'm going to put a little bit more in because it's bigger. I want to keep proportions. Same thing, I need to add a little bit more on this one, just to keep the proportions right. There we go. Alright, and what we're going to do is pipe in with our piping bag, and I'm going to start with the orange. Just going to tuck off a little bit and see how that flows out. Okay, we need to cut off a little bit more. We want to make sure that it can flow out easily. So just a little bit more. There we go. That's much better. We want it to make a nice, easy line, and we'll start with this one. Just kind of following the square around. Same thing here. Now it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to be pulling the resin through these layers as well, so don't think you're making the final product here. You're not. There we go. Next we will do our bronze. Same thing, we're going to cut off the tip so we can get a good flow going. There we go. And same thing as before, we're just going to kind of make our layers into this one. There we go. Go. Okay, moving on to our yellow. We'll snip the end off. There we go. Make sure it's going to come out like we like. Yep, there we go. All right, and then do the same thing, making our pattern. Go. And finally, let's put our pumpkin orange into place as well. Good line. There we go. That's good. Okay, so we've got our everything piped out, and so while I was piping it was hard for me to talk, but what we've done is added the different colors in layers, and that's going to make sense in just a moment, but I'm actually going to go back with our liquid orange and just add some more color because this one didn't get represented very well. It's buried down in there, and I want to make sure that we don't lose this color. Now you want to get your colors close to each other, but not too close. Remember, resin loves to travel a little bit as it's curing, so give it room to do that, but these layers, as you can already see, are going to feather out and overlap and pull into each other, and that's going to happen even more in just a second because we're going to pull the resin as well. Just do it. So we're just wanting these colors to mix a little bit, and we'll see how this goes. Alright, so next we're going to take something and pull through the resin. Now I'm going to use kind of the blunt end of one of these cocktail toothpicks, the rounded end, because it's such big molds, I want to make sure that we do that. So we're going to start from the center and pull out to each corner, just to make this effect. There we go. Make sure you clean it because you want to keep that neat. Again, pull it out. And that's my resin setting up there, so try not to dig too deep on that one again. Alright, and then we're going to come in from the center and pull these colors into the center as well. There we go. So once again, from the center out to the corners. And then from the edge into the center. Whoop, get it good. There we go. Now you wanted that bottom layer to start to set up like it has here so that these colors have something to ride on top of and they don't sink and you get the effect you're looking for. That's very important. You've got to have that resin starting to set up or else the effect won't work. The resin will move too much and your colors will combine too much and you'll lose some of these separate colors. Now if you want less separation, then you can obviously add more color to your mold. If you want to see more clear, then add less lines than I've added. You can play with it and get it the way you like it. For your creation, you may only use a couple colors and you can increase, get that a little bit better, increase the number of lines that you use, or you may use more colors and have less individual lines. Whatever works, that is what you should do. Okay, let's go ahead and hit it with the hot gun to make sure all the bubbles are out, but also give all the colors a chance to push together and break up some of the hard lines that we have. Okay, everybody, we're back and we've got our molds, everything all done here. So we're going to let this set up. Now it looks like, leaning down, we've got them filled mostly to the top, so we're not going to need to worry about doing a flood coat to fill it up the rest of the way. So we will be back just as soon as these are ready to unmold, and we'll see how everything looks. Hi everybody, we're back with our 3-tiered tray. Everything has cured well. Now, I didn't show it on video, but I went ahead and added a flood coat to these just to give it an even layer, because it was a little off center where the resin hadn't flowed well because it had started to get thick when we poured it. But with that piping, it does that. So I just poured a thin coat on top. You can add more layers on top as long as you get to it before it fully hardens. So, 24 hours, maybe 36, and you should be fine to add another layer. So we'll start unmolding this, and we're going to build our tray to show you what it looks like. Flood coat went over the top just a little bit, so I'm going to be extra careful pulling this off. But it looks like our mold did well. There we go. Alright, let's pull this back. There we go. Alright, so that is the back, front. That's actually our bottom, but I think both sides just look beautiful. Good colors, good sparkle, so that's going to be great. So next, let's pull out our medium one, or our second tier, however you want to look at it or think about it. I'm going to cut that little piece of tag off where it overflowed just slightly. We'll take care of that. We have some nippers. There we go. Alright, and again, just beautiful color, beautiful sparkle. Pretty much the same on both sides. Very nice. Put that there. Actually, we're just going to take our nippers, because this has a tag. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a little tag right there. So I'm just going to use these flush cut nippers just to come around and take that off. There we go. And we can go back with some sandpaper or a nail file or an emery board and take that right off while it's soft. Once it hardens, you need something a little bit harder, like a grinding wheel for a Dremel tool, but when it's soft you can cut it and smooth it out with the file just easy. And then let's do our small one, the top layer. And there we go. Very pretty. I like these. These are going to be beautiful. So let's start assembling our thing. We'll start with our bottom layer. Now this particular mold I like because it has an indent. I don't know if you can see in the bottom there where our screw goes. Okay, to assemble our 3 tiers, we're going to put our bolt through our first layer, and then this one has a metal washer that goes on, and of course these little styrofoam foam spacers that help protect it as well and keep things from moving. And then we'll just spin on this. Use our screwdriver. Get in here so you can see it to tighten that down. Now I like this mold because it's designed to let that bottom screw sink in a little bit so that you don't see, and it doesn't interfere with it sitting flat. That is a great feature. Alright, so before we add the next layer, we're just going to put on our little foam and then add that, and then another piece of foam to protect our resin and make a good seal that's not going to move around. There we go. So just a little bit too short to use both sets of foam in there, but there we go. Got that in. And then finally we'll use our top layer and add in that piece of foam there. Hopefully that works. There we go. And there is our completed tower. Very nice. I think that just looks beautiful. That'll make a great centerpiece, and I'll have pictures of this up during the video as well, so you can see the finished product completely. Make a great centerpiece or a decoration on any autumn table as you do things, or if you have this color scheme in your kitchen or dining room. So very pretty. I hope you've enjoyed watching us make this today. I'll have all of the links to the items used to make this set in the description below. And if you have please leave us a comment if you like it or have ideas for other videos. And if you've liked this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for everything we have coming out that's new. Most of all, I want to thank you for joining us and for resining together with us.